Okay, hopefully we are live now. I tried to go live last night and I think I just recorded it. But I hope I got it figured out today and we are streaming. So, welcome everybody. My name is David Huckins. I'm with High and Tight, which is a micro business or a social equity business. I won a dispensary license in the Missouri micro business program in 2024. So, I'm currently trying to get that going. I'm needing a location, partners, investors to get this going. So basically, I'm in the very early stages of planning. In the meantime, I'm doing this podcast to bring awareness to cannabis in Missouri and also to micro businesses and social equity programs around the U.S. in general. If you're interested in being a guest on my podcast and you have an interest in cannabis, hit me up on social media. I would love to chat with you. You can get a hold of me at mohightight.com, which will have all my contact information. Mohightight at Gmail. On Instagram, I'm 420 High Tide. You can search for my Facebook group, High and Tight LLC, or YouTube at Mohightight. Also, if you'd like some free advertising, SMYS, or send me your swag. I'll display your banner, wear your shirt, your hat, or whatever, and I'll give you a shout out as well. I'm gonna let my esteemed co-host, Master Yoda, introduce himself, and then we'll get to our guest. Master Yoda, take it away.
Thanks, Steve. So my name is Master Yoda, and I've been kind of floating around social media for a little while. I'm a grower, a home grower, and right now I'm growing in. I'm about to set up a RDWC system, so I'm really excited to get started with that. I was previous to that, I was doing DWC, and then I was kind of using more of a SIP method, which is watering underneath your plants. And up to this date, I've only grown autoflowers, but my next grow is going to be a photo period grow, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Exciting. Moving up to the big league.
Yes.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Do you got any contact information that you want to share?
You guys can find me at Master Yoda 207 on pretty much all platforms. I think on Discord, I think I'm just Master Yoda, but I might be Master Yoda 207. But you can find me there. That would be Instagram, X, which I never really post on, but I do have an account, YouTube, which I haven't done a lot of posting, but I do have an account, and Discord. So yeah.
Master Yoda is a really good guy to know. I'd suggest you reach out to him if you think you have something he might be interested in. Our guest tonight is Josh, and Josh has an interesting story to tell about his journey through the legal system. He has several arrests for cannabis, and that has impacted his life. And he's currently in some struggles, you might say, with trying to get around that so that he can move on with his life and be a part of society in a way that's meaningful to him. So we're going to hear from him next. Josh, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell the audience who you are, brother.
Hi there. My name's Josh Blankenship. I'm from Springfield, Southwest Missouri area. I'm 32 years old. I've been a cannabis user most of my life, and I have a criminal history with that. With how the law used to be different, and I have a criminal history with that, and I've been through some stuff dealing with that and trying to figure out, now that the laws and some things have changed, trying to see if I can figure some things out and make my life better. And now that the system's changed a little bit, I'm trying to see what we can do, now that we're kind of on the other side of things.
What is it that you want to do now in the cannabis industry? Do you want to sell weed? Do you want to grow weed? What would you like to do in the cannabis industry?
Just kind of, generally anything and everything. I just kind of have a general interest in cannabis for sure. Being on a podcast talking about weed. Ultimately, I'm trying to, get into the cannabis industry and possibly work my way up and, possibly have my own marijuana related business slash grow my own strains and have my own products and kind of include my friends and family with that and try to like just come up in life, with cannabis now that that's a possibility, as opposed to, back in the day it was just something we were doing to, make a little money. And, it's a real legitimate hustle now for sure, so
Oh,
that's kind of part of the end goal.
brother, I can tell you that if you get some kind
Hey,
of a
what's going on?
cannabis
I'm on
business
Dave's
going,
podcast right now.
you will definitely
Oh,
have
I'm
friends
sorry.
and family coming out of the woodwork to work with you.
Oh yeah, for
Before we
sure.
get going into this too much, I want to tell you that later I'm going to give you some free seeds from my buddy at
Oh
GI
yeah.
Genetics. He's
Oh
a
dude, that's awesome.
he's a former Army guy, military veteran, Army veteran like me, and all his stuff is
Oh,
military themed. Like his seed, this is his seed pack right here. It looks like a little MRE pouch.
that's
So, and
awesome.
he's got another one that's like a little grenade container, and we'll talk about
What?
that later. Hopefully, we can get him
Oh,
on the podcast. He'll be here live, and then he can talk to you himself about his seeds because he's the expert. He knows all that stuff. So,
that's awesome.
take
Well,
us
lucky
back
me.
to the beginning, take us back to the very, very beginning of your cannabis interest. How old were you when you started being aware of cannabis or using cannabis?
Okay. Yeah. So, marijuana's just kind of always been around. My parents, smoked weed, and so did most of friends and family around throughout my life. And when I was young, fairly young, like 11, 12 years old, I think the first time I ever smoked weed, I came home, I had a bad day at school, and I think I was about 11, 12 years old. And I was also I remember going through Dare at some point too, like sixth grade or something like that. I was going through Dare and coming home and telling my pot smoking parents, who, I mean, they smoked weed. They also had like drug addictions and problems and stuff like that too. But, I was coming home talking about drugs are bad, and they're like, they're, yeah. And so it wasn't like they pushed me into it because of that, but it was just an interesting kind of thing because it was around that time kind of that I first tried marijuana. I'd had a bad day. I came home from school and my mom was like, here, and offered me some weed, and I smoked some weed with her. And I think I went to my room and passed out. And uh, yeah, after that, I kind of, was off and on with my parents kind of smoking. And then I had an older cousin who was like, I didn't have any brothers or sisters, but I had these cousins that I, spent a lot of time with. They were like my brother and sister. And my older cousin Timothy, I worshipped the ground he walked on and wanted to do everything like him. And he
Mm.
came over to my house one day and was like, I heard you smoke weed. And I was like, maybe a little bit. And
A
so
little bit,
he's like, well,
accidentally one time.
he pulled out a bag of weed and was like, we're gonna smoke this bag of weed. And I'm like, okay. So it was just kind of on from there. And throughout my life, I smoked a lot of weed, sold weed. And then eventually, I ended up getting in trouble. I was selling weed and I got caught. I got myself tied up here in
Before
Missouri.
we get into that, I want to stop you for just a second because I want to get
Yeah,
everybody. You mentioned Dare earlier, and I
yes.
wanted to touch on that right quick. Was
Yeah.
I the only one when you were going through the Dare program that was thinking, this all looks pretty freaking cool. I can't wait to do some of this stuff. Where can I obtain some of these substances?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah.
showing me what I
And
should be looking for.
Right?
well,
I know
and
more about drugs than ever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was young, but like I said, I grew up in a home where there were drugs around, and I knew about it. And I was like, I was
Sure.
smart when I was young. I was aware, like I knew. And then I'm going to school, and it was like at home, I'm like, and then at school, it was almost like a double life. Almost, it's like I'm in
Sure, yeah.
school, like oh, drugs are bad, and then I go home and my parents smoke weed, and it's just like, and it was cool, and so that was yeah, it was interesting.
How
Um,
about you, Master Yoda?
So I remember the days of the Dare and the cops coming in and kind of giving their speech, and they had the board of the different things, and
Yeah.
maybe it would have been cool if you could have been like, dude, that's fucking, dude, that weed, that's not very good. You want a bag like this.
Yeah,
But
right. I got the good
um,
shit right here, bro.
yeah, this
no
this
doubt.
is the kind part. But um, I mean, what a failed experiment that was, really. I mean, certainly the
They're still
cost.
doing it, I think.
Are they still doing it? I
I s-
remember.
Really?
There's a town near me that used to have like a Dare car, which I'm assuming, I mean, it was like a bitchin' Camaro.
sure, yeah.
Back when
Yep.
like bitchin'
Yep.
Camaros were cool with like Dare branding and stuff, and I'm sure
It's
it was like
always
a
the
thousand
nicest
times.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
but in like 2024, 2020 standards, the car's looking a little bit dated. You know,
Yeah, right.
um, that's not the drug dealer that I want to be buying my drugs from. I want the one in the nice car, not the jalopy. So, you know,
That's
All
great.
right. Well, okay, Josh, I'll let you go on with your story now. So pick it up from where maybe you first were getting into your first problems with the law. Walk us through that. Tell us what happened.
Um, well, I mean, and there was before I think maybe before I caught my like felony charge, I might have like had, got caught with some weed walking around town or, got pulled over and had, like a misdemeanor. Like I go to court, I pay a fine and it's no big deal, but,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
the phone, yeah.
when
And then, and that, like I probably had at least 2 or 3 misdemeanor possessions and misdemeanor possessions of like paraphernalia. And that was just like, they take your stuff, and you get a court date and you go to court and they give you a fine basically, and you pay the ticket and then you'd be done with it essentially.
Hmm.
Now, when you got in trouble with the law, was this as a minor or was this as an adult?
Um, Everything with marijuana as an adult.
Okay, okay,
Um, as a minor, I did have a couple minor in possession of alcohol, uh, either by possession of a physical bottle of alcohol under the age of 21 or under the influence.
right,
Uh,
right,
and kind of same deal, slap on the hand, maybe a ticket, maybe, like I might have had to take a class or something, like just
right,
kind of
right.
little stuff like that. Um, but yeah, so the first time that I like when I really got in trouble, so July 10th, 2013, I know the exact date. July 10th, 2013. I met up with. I was living in small town, like close to where I live now. And I was hustling, selling weed on the street, um, and this local neighborhood, weed guys. So, and somehow I think somebody who I sold weed to got in trouble or something like that, and like ended up getting my name somehow to, the law enforcement became aware of me and my name or my nickname, and the fact that, hey, they, and so yeah, so I ended up meeting up with someone. I think someone gave me a phone number, or someone gave them my phone number, because this lady contacted me. I met up with her. I sold her some weed at McDonald's, and in this town, it's a small town. There's like a little college, and there's like schools all over. So anywhere that you get caught doing anything, you're within a school zone. So this originally
Right.
started out, I sold weed within a school zone. And so I met up with this lady. I sold her some weed at McDonald's. She had some kind of recording device. Like, they didn't arrest me then. She had a
Okay.
recording
So it was a
device.
sting operation.
And then some months later, they put a warrant out for me. And then I kind of dipped and ducked and, like avoided, managed to not get in contact with any law enforcement until one day I did. And this is like 2014, like early, like March, like this time of year, 2014, I made contact with law enforcement. They took me to jail. And, my father or my family and friends, like, helped like bond me out, got me a lawyer, and we started going to court. And I was
Hey,
originally
Josh,
charged. Go ahead. Yeah.
just interrupt you for just a second. You're clicking on something that's a little bit distracting.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my
No
bad.
worries.
Um,
Nope, no, it's good. Go ahead.
so yeah, I started going to court, and I was originally charged with Class A distribution of controlled substance, which is marijuana, within a school zone,
Hmm.
which is, uh, I think, like, I don't know. I had like $100,000 bond. Luckily I got that like way dropped down, but it was crazy. It was like really scary, honestly, because I thought I was, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was 20. 21, 22 years old almost, and looking at a felony charge. I'd never been in any real trouble, been a pretty decent kid. I ran around and, did fairly normal, debauchery, but I was never like, a villain necessarily or a real criminal. Just
Right.
I just
Nothing
sold it.
violent.
Right.
Nothing
Yeah,
violent
yeah,
like robbing
nothing.
people or yeah, cool.
Nah. Yeah, I just been, I just knew where to get weed. It's all
So
pretty much. So,
how far
and they ended up. Go ahead.
how far was McDonald's from the school? I mean, like, could you see the school? I mean,
Within 1,000 feet,
a
and
thousand
Yeah,
feet.
so you can see
That's
yeah,
longer than a football field. That's like
3
three.
football fields.
That's 3 football fields. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like right down the street. The college
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Oh, and it's not even a
And
primary school; it's a college. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Southwest Baptist University. It's in Bolivar, Missouri.
Okay.
And so,
I'm
uh,
sure that wasn't a coincidence that the police wanted to, or the cop wanted to meet you there to do this transaction. You
I
know what
think
I
the way
mean?
they set that up, yeah, kind of, yeah, they wanted to make sure that they got something. So, uh, so yeah, they ended up. I got out of jail, started going to court. They ended up dropping the A to a B from the school zone. They basically cut the school zone off, and just distribution, and put me on 5 years SIS probation, which means if I had completed probation successfully, I would not be a felon or anything. It wouldn't be on my record, and it would have been just a less stressful situation. But I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't get right, and I didn't want to go report to a probation officer. I didn't want to quit smoking weed or doing whatever I wanted to do, and so I just kind of ran myself in circles, with that situation. And they gave me many chances to get it straight, but after a while, I was like, nah, man, like we got to do something with you. So I ended up going and doing a 120-day. Uh, sentence in 2015. I did a 120 in Missouri DOC. I went to the Fulton prison, which currently has no water. Um, I don't know if you guys have looked into that or heard anything about that, but there's a lot going on with the Missouri prison system. FRDC in Fulton does not have running water for the camp for the prisoners and stuff. Yeah,
How
maybe
is
look
that
into that.
not a crime
Um,
against humanity?
What was that,
Cruel and
Yoda? What'd you
unusual.
say?
How is that not a crime against humanity, or cruel and unusual
Yeah,
form of
it's
punishment?
yeah. Can't flush the toilet. I mean,
Yeah.
basic sanitation, fresh water to
Right.
drink. Come on. Wow,
I'm hip. I'm hip. But
that's
they
so
do what they
hideous.
want, man. They do what they want. I've been to prison. It's so there's I can tell you lots of stuff that they did that they're not supposed to do. Um, so I did a 120. I went to Fulton, and during my I could tell you specifically about. Like I can tell you what your first day in prison's like. I mean, I could go into detail depending on, or I could just kind of, you know, give you, a general, the story. I don't know how deep you want me to go into detail. It's like how my prison stay was or whatever. But I did a 120, um, and I went to a treatment program while I was there, and
What kind of
that.
treatment program? What was that like? What was that about?
So they take you to a different facility, and um, so it's kind of a different setting. You're in prison, but it's different than the average, like a regular like prison setting. It's more of like a old like hospital, I think, or whatever. And so like
Yeah.
there's 3 stories, and on each end you have 30 people in a wing on 3 floors on each end. You have the 1, 2, 3 west, 1, 2, 3 east, and so it's like a they call it a community therapeutic community
Okay.
setting. So basically, you're in treatment 24/7. They have they do groups all week and stuff, and you are like,
Okay.
you're in prison, but you also are kind of living in a constant like rehab, like
Okay.
treatment setting, and it's really crazy. They have a pull-up system where you tell on each other, and it's all kinds of crazy. Like
Was it
it's
a
it's weird.
voluntary did you voluntarily join the treatment, or was it mandatory?
So the first 120 I did, they sent me over there.
Okay.
I didn't volunteer. I didn't nothing. They told me to pack up. I'm going over here, and they sent me over there. I went and did the program, and then when I finished the program, I still had like 3 weeks on my 120. I went back to Fulton to
Okay.
FRDC to the regular prison setting because that was like it was just too. It just you couldn't. I don't know. It was like really buttoned up, like very strict. Like you kind of just couldn't do your thing. It was like very uptight and all
Right.
lots of rules. And I'm like, I'll just go sit back over here and chill until I go home. So
Right.
that's what I did there. And then I got out and kind of same thing. I didn't want to follow the rules. I didn't want to report to a PO. Just hard headed, stupid. I don't know. Like, and just so they ended up sending me back. So let's see, April to August 2015, I did a 120.
Well, stop you for a second. Your first 120, when you went through therapy, they obviously cured you of your drug addictions, right?
No, no,
It's.
no.
Do you think it
Um,
slowed you down at all? Were there any success stories of people that went through that you know of that got off of like maybe hard drugs or something?
um, no, not that I know from my first
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I mean, I did gain
typical.
some. There was some stuff that was helpful while I was there. Like I'm not gonna lie, some of the stuff the counselors had us do, homework and treatment stuff they gave us was good. But like the treatment, like the physical, like booklets and like all this like material they gave you is from like the 90s. It's like
Well,
not even up to date, like accurate modern day treatment, drug related stuff. It's all from 20, 30 years ago when the lot's changed, you know? And
sure, yeah.
yeah, so it's not very helpful. So yeah, so April to August 2015, I did a 120. I got out and I was out from then till October 2016. I went and did another 120. And that time when I went to court, because I thought the judge was going to give me sentence me and send me on my time. And I was going to be gone for a long time, or I was going to have to go do, a sit down for a while. So I asked for an ITC 120, a treatment. And so, because he wasn't aware, I guess, that I did a treatment the first time. And so I asked for a treatment so that I could go do that. And so he was like, okay, cool. Sent me on another ITC 120. And so I went and did that. I went back to Kramer again, the same place, the community therapeutic community. And they're like, oh, you again. Um,
We got your bed warm for you.
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I went through there again, and honestly, I got more out of it the second time than I did the first time because I was starting to come around. I was starting to like, God, I'm tired of beating my head against the wall, man. But I came out with good intentions again, and then just kind of circumstances, and then once again, my attitude, I was like, I just said screw it, and so I got out. I did October 16 to January 2017, and then April 2017, I was back in jail. And that time they said, oh, you're going down. So they sentenced me to 10 years in the Department of Corrections for Class B distribution. They finally sentenced me, gave me a 10-year sentence, and sent me on my time. Uh, April 2017. So, and the way that it works, like I didn't go do 10 years. Like the way it works, there's a matrix, and depending on where you fall within the matrix, what crime you committed, what sentence you have a percentage that you have to do, like a minimum mandatory.
Okay.
So basically what I ended up doing was going and finishing my mandatory minimum mandatory minimum on my sentence, which they gave me credit for the two 120s I did, plus some of the county time that I had.
Right.
So I had 10 months of that, and I had to do 20 more months to get 30 months out of, which is 2.5 years out of 10, 25%, which for drug cases, that's like the that's like the minimum they have you do, and they'll cut you loose. Basically, or at least on your first time, and then each time you come back, there's what used to be called remands, and they would make you do a higher percentage each time you come back, which is why you have a lot of people sitting in prison and it's overcrowded because you have people who just keep violating parole and keep getting sent back, and every time you get sent back, you got to sit longer, and
Right.
so
I
that's
have
created a problem.
I have some input on that. I used to actually be a guard on prisoner transports for the Finney County Sheriff's Department in Garden City, Kansas.
Nice.
And I did that for a few years. And it was just basically my job to transport prisoners from our county jail to prisons, or from, like these guys maybe caught a charge in Garden City and then went somewhere else and got charged for something. Then we go pick them up and bring them back for trial, that kind of thing. So just transporting prisoners. And after even just a year of doing this, I started seeing a lot of the same guys going back and forth to jail
Yeah.
and prison and so forth. And it seemed to me that a lot of these guys had serious drug problems, and they really didn't necessarily want to be in prison, but so like they would get out, and then they'd be like, I got to work a job, but my job is not going to support my drug habit, so I'm going to go back to robbing people or whatever it was that they were doing before. It's a vicious circle.
Oh
So
yeah, man. There was people who, like, there were people would get out, man, and they'd do a shot. They'd shoot up in the parking lot outside. There would be guys who we heard about a couple people who got out and died within a month of getting out. Friends, we had
From
people that we
like
come,
drug
you
overdose
know,
or crime related
drug
something or other.
overdoses. Or you heard they were back in prison already. He just got out
Yeah,
3 weeks ago, and he's already back
right. Yeah,
all
I've
the
seen that a
time.
lot.
with the
All the
treatment
time.
that you received in prison, when you got out of any of those 120s, after kind of the prison incarceration with treatment, did they do anything to help set you up for success? Did they just, like, you go out the door with the clothes you came in and like maybe you get bus fare, or was it like, did they try to do anything to set you up with like a social worker and stuff, so that way, like, you've gotten out of treatment, now let's try to make sure that you can succeed outside,
Or help
you
you get
know
a job.
yeah
That
was
is that is an excellent question. I'm really glad that you asked that, because this is like, I'm so glad, like, I found you. Like, I kind of need. I feel like I need to tell also kind of like how I found you. Like, I've been going through this process of trying to get my background figured out and get a lot of stuff figured out. I've been reaching out trying to find people to talk to, and I found David, and he invited me on the podcast, and now here we sit. And so, this is really cool. I'm really glad that, like, because this give me an opportunity to tell my story, but also my story is the story of a lot of other people, honestly.
Mm.
And because there's good people, man, in there. So you pretty much most of the time, they set you up with, like, they'll give you a couple bucks on a card. They'll put you in some fresh clothes to hit the street with, and whatever you take with you home, and that's pretty much it, honestly.
Mm.
The third time, so I did the 120s, and then I went and did 20 months the third time, and then I haven't been back to prison since. I figure I learned. I finally learned, at least enough to stay out of prison. So, and jail. I haven't been back to jail. I haven't been back to jail either. But so, towards the end of my 20 months on my third time, there was a program at the prison that I was at in Northeast Correctional Center up in Bowling Green, Missouri, and it was a reentry program.
okay.
And I decided to go join the reentry program a few months before I got out, so that I could try to set myself up for success, because that's what I decided. I don't want to go back, and I want to set myself up. And they have this program over there where, they're like, there's classes, we'll set you up with people on the outside to help you with resources once you get out. And once you leave here, you'll have a fresh ID, a fresh birth certificate, a fresh social security card, fresh clothes. And yeah. And we're going to put you in classes and prepare you to go home. And so I went to that program, which I moved to a different housing unit. which was basically I went from at least being in a cell and having kind of my own like home
Right.
to I went to basically like uh, a tent city inside an old gym, and we went to these classes. Which weren't even once a week because I don't know, they couldn't even get staff to come in because they had
Right.
staffing problems and stuff.
Mm.
And I think they get funding for it, and I think a lot of that the money goes somewhere else, or it's getting you like it's because they're really not even half-assing it. And I did
Right.
get out of prison with some fresh clothes and some, my documents that I needed, but that's kind of basic. That's what they do anyways.
Right. Right.
Um, and then they were supposed to set me up with people on the outside, and then that didn't even really happen either. So it was really kind of useless. We did have a few classes, talking to us about resume building, telling us how to look at, like, okay, even though you were a criminal and you went and did things that you weren't supposed to be doing, at the same time you were building skills and you were developing something that if you could just change that into something positive, that you could use that to sell yourself and set yourself up with a job. Because say I sold drugs, I sold marijuana, so I know how to come to you and sell you something. I can
Mhm.
come and I
Right.
can market and package a product and get you to buy it,
Right.
you
Right.
know and talk, and I can talk to you, I can command a room and get everyone to buy my stuff versus the other guy.
Right.
Hey, so I've tried to use that power ever, stuff like that ever since, and trying to find a way to turn, that into a spin, put a positive spin on
Right.
all that stuff. So, uh, yeah, you gotta
Now,
learn to sell yourself.
were were any of the were any of well, I guess you weren't actively in prison or incarcerated when Biden did the pardons, but have you if you were convicted of nonviolent cannabis crimes, have you been pardoned in that
Uh,
time that you did?
no, I've not been pardoned.
Okay.
Um,
And they were nonviolent crimes though, right?
Absolutely, I've never committed a violent crime really, or been let alone been found guilty or anything of that. I'm like, I'm not a violent person. Like
Right.
I just sold weed.
Right.
Might have
Right.
stole a few things and done, been stupid in some other ways. Might have, spray
Right.
painted some things once in a while, but
Normal
um,
youthful hijinks.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So set a couple things on fire, maybe allegedly.
Right. Because
Yeah.
but you do have a felony then on your record, and that makes trying to find a job in the outside world, it creates challenges. Although I think a couple years ago, did they not didn't they change the laws where you're not allowed to ask if you were a convicted felon on an application?
Well, I believe that's something that is, I've heard that. I guess I haven't, I'm not sure if I've looked it up myself. That's something that, hey, give it a Google. I don't know. That's something that
Right.
I would have to look into. I've heard that. My uncle says that. And
Right.
I think that definitely is something that, I mean, you're going to do a background check anyways. Like, why do I
Yeah.
have to single myself out before you do your little background check anyways? So,
Right. Right.
um, but that's and so after I got out of prison in December 2018, and I went on parole, and I was on parole from that point till I got off parole in March this time, 2023. So I've been off parole for 2 years. So from December 2018 to March 2023, I was on parole, and I managed to, make it through that without much, incident or problems or, reincarceration. Um, and so, yeah, that was pretty awesome. And then by that time, we recreationalized marijuana in the state of Missouri. We changed the amendment to the Constitution. Lots of things have changed. So, um, from that point on, once I became aware of that, I started trying to figure out what I could do about my criminal history. And so there's not really, and for this whole, since from that through everything I've been through ever since, there's not really a blueprint, and I've not really known who to talk to or how to get a hold of anyone to figure it out. I've figured it out all on my own, pretty much. So what I started with, just by reading the news and looking on the internet, apparently it starts with the courts. Like whatever court you went through with your case, you start with them. They were supposed to be having court clerks around the state, or in every county, are supposed to be digging through all the files and everything, and finding everyone with marijuana felonies and sorting them, disqualifying, non-disqualifying, and expunging, and just taking care of all that. And uh, so 2023, after I got off parole, I started trying to figure that out. And I contacted the court that I went through, Polk County down here. And so it took a little while, but I eventually got them to do the thing. And so they sent me a copy via email, I believe, of an order of expungement. I have that. I went and recently got copies of that document because I needed them. But it's an order of expungement, and they send that to whatever other entities in the state like hold your record. And so it's essentially an order of expungement of your whatever felony that you have, which I had like Class B distribution of marijuana. It did not involve minors, alcohol, violence, or anything like that. Just good old distribution, selling weed, right. Which falls under the expungement. And so I got that piece of paper, and I thought that I was done. And so since then, I have had some background checks done, and it keeps popping up, and I'm like, what? I don't know, maybe this takes a while or something. And so I kind of didn't really get much back into it until, I've started trying to find a job in the industry. I've decided that's something I really want to do. And I started trying to find a job in the marijuana industry. And a guy that I actually used to push brickweed with back in the day, back before we had the good dank weed we have now, back when we were pushing Mexican brick around town, me and this guy, he is the propagation manager out at Flora Farms in Humansville, near where I live. And he, like he had put a post on Facebook there looking for people out there. And I'm like, hey, bro, like, me, like, and he's like, all right, bet. So he set me up with an interview. I did the interview. I had a great interview. Welcome to the farm, man. And then, so the process goes, you got to go, they send you, there's like links and stuff. You get a job offer, and then you have to go set yourself up to get fingerprinted, which I did at the Polk County Health Center in Bolivar. And then you apply for your state agent ID through the Division of Cannabis Regulation with the state of Missouri. And you have to pay for both things. It's like $120 when it all shakes out, and you are supposed to get reimbursed that when you get the job after whatever. Right. So, and so I did that, and I had to wait for all that to process some results, and I ended up getting denied for my state agent ID for a disqualifying felony. And I'm like, well, no. Dude, like, this is supposed to, why is my life still, why can I not move forward because of this? This is supposed to be expunged. So I had to kind of retrace back to the expungement process and figure that out. And so I got back in contact with the court, and they're like, on our end, it's done. Maybe the other entities, which the other entities they send that off to include the prosecuting attorney, sheriff's office. It's listed on the document they give you, the expungement order. It lists these entities: prosecuting attorney, sheriff's office, Missouri State Highway Patrol. And so when you get fingerprinted, that runs through a system called MACHS, MACHS, which runs through the Missouri State Highway Patrol. So I figured out I had to contact the Missouri State Highway Patrol And I wound up talking to a lady there in their expungements division or whatever. And she's like, okay. She pulled up my name and my information. And she's like, okay, I see your order of expungement here. And it just been sitting there. Like that was sent in 2023. It's 2025.
Oh,
It's
so
still sitting
they
here.
had it, they just hadn't processed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was, which I'm sure is simple as click, you know?
So
So
I wonder if, I mean, not to try to sound too crazy, but I mean, like, if this is preventing you from getting employment, and you have been expunged, and it's due to a backflow of, the paperwork being filed, uh I mean, like, can you hold the state accountable and be like, I'm expunged and I'm trying to get jobs and I can't because you're not doing your job? And, how do you expect me to stay out of prison, if I can't get work because of this felony, which I'm expunged of?
I also can't go to certain colleges,
Right.
school,
Yeah.
certain things,
But
which I've also tried to do.
I think one message that you're kind of telling, though, is that for anyone out there that might be going through a similar situation, um, that once you get your order of expungement, it's probably best to maybe try to be a little bit of a squeaky, respectfully, to be a squeaky wheel, and make sure that you contact those agencies and
That's
make
part of why I
sure.
wanted to tell this story so that other people could know.
Yeah, yeah,
Because for me, there was no blueprint.
right, right.
I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to help lead others,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and give people
So
hope,
you
kind
find
of,
yourself.
with that.
Oh, by the way, before we move on, I got an answer to your question. You were asking about employers asking about criminal history. I did Google it. He said it says there isn't a federal law explicitly prohibiting employers from asking about criminal history, but some states and cities have banned the box laws that limit when and how employers can inquire about it.
I fill out
Right.
applications all the time because I'm looking for a job actively. I fill out applications every day on Indeed and other websites, and yeah, they still ask. They definitely
Yeah.
still ask about that all the time, and it pisses
Yeah.
me off.
And it's
So
kind of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because if you don't disclose it, if it's a company that's gonna run a background check, if you don't disclose it, they're gonna find it, and
Yeah.
then at that point they're not gonna move forward because now you've lied to them, on top of the fact, so it's like, well, they're a felon and they've already lied to us, so clearly we can't hire this person. But if you do tell them, then you probably get filed in the circular file. Um, and
Yeah. Damned if you do,
that's
damned if you don't.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean that does really represent a challenge. So if you since you have been expunged, does that does that mean that you do not need to say that you were a felon because that's been expunged, or is
when I
that
fill
not
out when I fill out an application and I see that box, I say no.
right? Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's your job to do your homework and figure out if I'm a felon, and if it don't pop up, well, then I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I feel about
So
it.
take us back to the point where you're talking to the state highway patrol and you're telling the lady, hey, look, I've got my thing. And she says, oh, I see it right here. And you're like, okay, check the box or whatever, right? So what happens then?
She's like, okay, I did that. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, so what happens now?
Right.
Because no one knows, because that's part of this whole process. Okay, January is when I got the job offer, right? I've been at this for 2 months, like on the phone between this entity, that entity, between the Department of Health and Human Services or whatever for the state of Missouri, Department of Cannabis Regulation, Missouri State Highway Patrol, all these entities. Nobody knows anything, and no one can give you a straight answer. It's crazy.
Right.
I will say, because I I've terrorized these people, I swear. I So I feel like the system, the marijuana system in Missouri, is, I liken it to a toddler. It's in its first steps. We're still coming to a lot of firsts. We're getting over a lot of bumps for the first time and figuring out what happens when this, we're having to just experiment and see what happens, man, because we don't really know. And I feel like that's just kind of how it is for everybody who works in this system, unfortunately. And nobody could really give me a straight answer or help me, and it was very frustrating. But at the same time, I guess these people just aren't trained very well or something. I don't know.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, and
No
you
one
can
can give
only
me.
expect it to
Now,
get worse too. I don't want to get into a political thing, but with all the cutbacks that Trump's making to government and so forth, you can only expect there to be less employees and a bigger workload. Because the work doesn't
Yes,
go away. You know what I mean?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you.
right.
Yes. Um.
Yeah, and Josh, actually, let me ask you: can you vote?
So, okay, you know what's crazy? I have my voting rights, and I have had them.
Okay.
Hmm.
I have my voter registration card. I'm registered to vote,
Hmm.
but I can't pass a background check because I'm a felon.
Right.
But I
Right.
have my voting rights, so I'm pretty sure I can go buy a gun.
Right.
What?
Right.
What? But I can't get a job or go to college? What?
Yeah.
It's
That's
crazy.
When you're dealing with
So,
this system, this is what you get, bro. It's crazy. Swear.
so, so tell us where you're at now. What's going on now?
Well, like I told you, I have a surprise, and ultimately, I have good news at the end of this. So
Oh
I'm glad
boy,
to
I
share
can't
that.
wait.
So, okay. So I I got denied, okay, on my application for my state agent ID. And so they told me that I got an email telling me that I can basically send a formal, like an argument to the Administrative Hearing Commission, um, and argue my case essentially and include in whatever I want to with that and argue my case essentially. So I typed up this formal document, um, and I could either snail mail it or fax it. Not Can't email, can't call anyone. Crazy. So luckily, a friend of mine's got a fax machine, and I faxed
What?
this formal.
Who
I
has a
faxed
fax machine?
yeah. And it is
the state,
2025. Who
the
the F
state
has
of
a fax
Missouri.
machine? Yeah.
Right, the state of Missouri has fax
Yeah.
machines.
Yeah.
Right, that's crazy.
I love it. I love it. Um, so I typed up this formal thing, and I included a copy of the order of expungement with that, and then sent that to them. And basically, in this document, I just basically outlined the fact that, hey, I got this job. I'm trying to get gainful employment. I believe that I will succeed at this job, and that this is part of my calling in life, and that I am serious about this. Uh, and I have a passion and a belief system about all this, and it's something I'm trying to get full circle. So, and that this is causing me problems in my life because I can't move forward because of this. Please help me. Please do something. Expunge me. Let me get this job. Like, come on, man. You have this order of expungement. What more do you need? So I sent that, and then that goes to the Administrative Hearing Commission, and that took a week or two to process, and then that gets a case number, and basically I get a docket entry via email, like you're going to court, like a court docket, like I'm the complaint plaintiff, whatever. There's a respondent, his name, his information, and all this. There's a hearing in June, a hearing in September. Like I gotta go to, like, it's basically explaining this is like a tribune, like a court with the state of Missouri and me and this, and we gotta go through this whole process just to say, hey, this guy needs to have his record expunged, and he's just trying to get his state ID approved. Like, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to, build a rocket or buy a country or anything crazy. Like, I'm just trying to move forward in my life a little bit and take care of a couple little things. Like it's a mountain, and for some reason, when I see an anthill, they're making it a mountain. So I get this individual's name on this document, and he's the lead counsel for cannabis, whatever, state of Missouri, whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, I have a name, so I'm calling the state on Monday. So I found this individual, and I spoke to him over the phone, and I explained to him the whole situation, told him the whole story, and was like, hey, man, neither one of us needs to work this hard to sort this out. And the document that I got says we can sort this out between us. Like, we don't have to go to court. Do you want to go to court, or you just want to work with me?
Right.
And he was cool, and he agreed to help me. And so he we've been in contact, and he stayed in contact with me via email and kind of check, let me know, hey, we're working on this. And so I got a message from him saying that he got a message from the Missouri State Highway Patrol that said if this individual wants their background, whatever, to reflect this change, that I got to call and request a records challenge. And it's like they just kept adding steps and just kept adding more and more and more ridiculous, more and more nothing. I'm like, what, dude? So I had to get back a hold of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and talk to the same people I've already terrorized. Like, and they like, and she's like, sir, our records reflect what you're asking. And I'm like, you're saying that, but this guy says different. So what is, like, it just, this whole thing was crazy.
Right.
And then
I can't get my agent ID. So there's obviously something wrong in the background.
Right.
So then this gal was like, look, I'm going to personally send this over to them. Like, and they, between that gentleman from the state and this lady from the Missouri State Highway Patrol, they got it sorted out. And I am super happy to announce that my state agent ID application was approved, and I have my state agent ID.
What?
Are
When
you
did that
number
happen?
one?
How long ago?
That
When did it?
yesterday.
Nice,
Wow.
nice,
Yeah,
nice,
awesome.
dude.
Hey,
Nice,
that
dude.
is a feel-good story. Happy ending. Awesome.
So, also though, but something I forgot to mention along the way. Flora pulled their job offer though.
Ah, well,
So I was trying to find a job, but I got a hold of my buddy John again and said, "Hey man, I need a fresh job offer. I got approved." And he's like, "I got you tomorrow." So today, I got a start date next Monday.
Sweet.
So I got my agent application approved, and I got a start date next Monday to start in the industry. And I feel like this is my forever job, and I'm excited and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up, dude. Like,
where
so.
do you want to give a shout out to where you're going to be working and tell us what you're going to be doing?
I get to announce that live right now, dude. So yeah, I thought that was awesome. Like I told you, I'm not gonna spoil the surprise. So so I'm gonna be working out in Humansville, Missouri, which is about 20 minutes from where I live. Small rural community. Flora Farms, that's where their cultivation facility is at. I don't know if you've ever heard of Canna Cribs. They're a consultant agency.
Yeah. Are they doing a show there?
Flora, they already have a Flora episode if you want to check it out.
Oh, they've already done it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the guy I'm going to be working with, like, he's in the video. Friends of mine that work there are in the video, and so that's where I'm going to be. I know when I got hired, they're going to put me in propagation.
Okay.
So, which I don't really have experience in like cultivation at all. Like, I have lots of, I've sold weed, smoked a lot of weed. I know good weed when I see it, but I've never got to actually get into cultivation in any serious way or capacity. And I'm super excited to finally get in there. So,
and it's
learn.
Not terribly difficult, man, to do it. I mean, it's there's a learning process, but I mean, you'll become a technician and you'll be, feet on the ground in no time.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
start you off doing the complicated stuff right away. You got to work your way up. They'll start you off with the easy stuff. That was my experience anyway when I worked with a local cannabis company out of Smithville, Missouri. That was my first and only
yeah,
job so far in the industry, and they were great. I still have people that I could probably call the HR manager now and ask for a job. And she'd say, "Okay, come on back, Dave." I still
Yeah.
have really good relationships with the people that work there. So that's
yeah.
awesome. I'm super stoked for you, bro. That's great
Yeah.
news. That's awesome.
Same, man. I'm super excited. Like I think that this is gonna be like I've always struggled. Like I struggled like holding down a job. Like obviously I've been in and out of prison. I've been a screw up my whole life, but I've never really honestly been put in much of a situation to, do things that I really want to do or enjoy or have a passion for. And I think that, and I find success with that type of stuff. Like I don't find success in things that I'm not
Sure,
interested
yeah.
in. I'm just not
Yeah.
like, I think that I'm going to kill this. I think that this is really going to like bring a big turnabout in my life, and that this is going to make a lot of things better. And I'm super excited.
Well,
Like I don't have to drive far, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good job, and I hope to like take it to the top and build a future for myself
Yeah.
with this.
Well, man, I
well,
mean, welcome to, the next step of your new life, man. I'm so
yeah.
proud of you.
Yeah, man.
Level
Awesome.
up,
I'm glad
man.
we could help report on that part of your journey. So before we get into the next thing to brighten your day, which is free beans,
Hey,
Hell
now.
tell
yeah.
us tell us if you had to give some advice to anybody that's going through this process and they're struggling and they're beating their head against the wall. Give two good pieces of advice for somebody to try and crawl out of this hole like you've done.
Well, it's kind of like I feel like I would tell myself this if I could go back to the beginning of this situation, how I dealt with it. Because when we first talked, I feel like I probably threw a lot of stress out there, and like I said, I've kind of terrorized a lot of these people I've talked to over the phone because I've just got a lot of built up frustration from years of being screwed and going through bad things in my life because this plant is legal, and I'm one of a lot of people, and it's just I speak the injustice for us all, and so I would say, like I was telling my friends earlier today, I was like, man, look, I feel like I'm a quitter on a lot of things. I don't see a lot of things through. When it gets hard and I get emotional and get frustrated, I just throw it away. I throw my hands up in the air. I quit. I stomp away all pissed off, and I don't see things through. I stayed persistent with this, so I would say, just man, just stick to your guns, stay persistent. Like you can get this done, and hopefully, someone going through this will hear me or get more somehow my message and my instruction can help somebody else, and find kind of a blueprint for this. And so I would say stay persistent, man, and be kind to yourself. Don't stress so much. Like just stay at it, stay persistent, and stay chill. Be kind to yourself.
One
If
quick
I could
question.
add to that, I'm sorry, go ahead,
Uh,
Yoda. You go
in,
first.
in Missouri, now that you've been through the process, do you know whether or not if that'll make it easier for other people to get through the process, or are they still going to have the same roadblocks that you kind of experienced?
Well, along the way, like I've told my story, and I've tried to tell people, like I said, a lot of people I've spoke to throughout all this, they didn't know what to tell me, and a lot of people didn't seem to really even want to help.
Right.
But for people who actually wanted to answer my question or help me find some way, they're like, I don't know, and so, um, like I've tried to share along the way with the people who I spoke to say, hey, man, in case someone else calls you with the same conversation, tell them what we did,
Yeah.
and uh, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, if any of those people who care enough to pass on,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
something that you might want to think about, if maybe as a side project, maybe as a passion project, maybe look into maybe seeing if you can get set up as like a 50c3, like a nonprofit organization, and you already have a couple of contacts, and maybe you can help navigate some people through. and maybe you might really get some type of funding or something like that, and then that can be, another calling for you because you are it sounds like you're the first person in your state to do this, right? So you
I
are
almost feel like
in
I
a
was the
very
first
unique
person.
position to help mentor and guide people through this process. So, and that,
That's what I said the whole way through
yeah,
talking to people. I'm like, I can't possibly be the first person ever to do this, or maybe I am.
right,
So
I I wanted to add to what you were saying earlier. Or you're talking about being consistent along exactly those same lines. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. You know,
yeah,
call those people, make them sick of hearing you, but always
yep.
remember that they're people. You
yeah,
know, they got jobs and they have feelings and they don't like people calling them with attitudes and cursing. Man, if you can call and in spite of your horrible situation, have some empathy for them and try and
yeah,
be respectful, and they will respond to that.
yeah, yeah.
And everybody, oh, go ahead.
If you're a real POS, they're not going to want to help you. You get more flies with honey than you do with
Right, for sure.
so.
Yeah, everybody who actually tried to help me, I gave them the biggest virtual verbal hug I could. I was like, I hope you get a promotion. I hope you get a better job. I hope you have a great day. I hope something good happens to you because you're awesome.
Right,
You know
So,
right,
what you can do that's even a step up from that? Find out who their boss is and write their boss a letter telling them
yeah,
that you had a positive experience with them.
yeah.
That can go along. That can get somebody a promotion or like an award at work, for
yeah,
going above and
yeah,
beyond.
Well, I
So
kept
if you
track of a
really want
couple
to do
names.
something to help somebody, that's a good way.
yeah, yeah,
I kept track of a couple names of some of those, like basically Steven, Alicia, and Michelle. They're they're heroes.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Awesome.
those three names. Those were three of the people who helped me for sure.
yeah. And certainly letting their employers know that is going to go a long way for them. Um,
Absolutely.
and oh, I think or is it time? Is it
It's
time?
bean time.
It's bean
Yeah.
time. All right.
Yeah. Let me show you what we got, man. Our good friend, actually, Master Yoda and I's good friend, GI from GI Genetics. He's got a bunch of different strains. Oh, and we got a shirt here too oh,
Yeah.
you're wearing the
Okay.
shirt. Okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
I'm trying to figure. I think my camera's backwards. Oh, it is. Okay.
No, I don't think so. It looks backwards on your end, but to us it looks right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, GI
So
Genetics. There we
let
go.
me show you a couple things that he
Yes,
got.
sir.
I like this grenade right here.
Yeah, the
This is
Yeah,
like
grenades
a
got
his
me like,
packaging is so on point.
all his stuff, like we said before, he's a military guy, so all his stuff is military themed. You unzip it and it's like a soft case, right? So after you get your seeds out of here, you could put like an electronic device in here, some headphones, or like a glass pipe or something. This is really
oh
sweet.
yeah, oh
So
that'll get
inside
used
here's
to.
a pack of seeds, and there's some stickers, and there's also a guitar pick and a little
I play
keychain
guitar,
and
man.
stuff.
Yeah.
What's that?
I play guitar, man.
Oh, sweet. Then
That's awesome.
you probably want this one. It's got the guitar pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is menu number 3. This is Sprint brass and alien technology crossed with 24 karat.
Nice.
Oh, love it.
Nice.
That's awesome, man. That's so dope.
Yeah, he's got amazing packaging, and he puts it all together
So
himself,
cool.
and he really cares about his brand, and
That's really cool,
he's a
man.
really good dude.
Well, and not only
Yeah, I
that,
got military.
you know,
I got military people in my family,
Yeah,
so that's what's up, man. I salute that.
yeah,
you could reach out to him, you know what I mean, and be like, what nutrients should I use, or what lighting, or how long should the flower, you know what I mean? He could
No
probably
doubt.
be a resource to tell you
yeah,
some of this stuff, like what he grew in and how his results were. He's a pretty
Oh
cool
yeah.
guy.
yeah.
We got
I,
this Boo Bear, which is blueberry and spent brass. This one, and the WMDs, which is Durban poison and spent brass.
yeah,
Nice. I like boys, and that's great.
Let me see. I got a bunch more over here. I got some unreleased stuff that he hasn't released publicly yet. This one looks really cool. I like this red shooter, which is let me get my eyes on right quick so I can read it. It's Panama red and alien shooter.
nice, nice.
Panama red, baby. And let's see. Oh, KP. which is lamb's bread and permanent profile. I like the sound
Okay,
of that.
okay, all right, yeah, yeah. Lamb's bread is, that's. I think lamb's bread is what all the Rastas smoke. Yeah, that's
Oh
my
yeah.
really
Ooh,
bad Jamaican accent, which did not sound Jamaican at all. So I apologize to all Jamaicans for.
I was
Uh,
just recently watching that. I forget what their names are exactly, but they're like a seed company that they go do. They chase land race, and they were
Oh
down in. I was watching an episode where they were down in Colombia
oh,
and the
was it
Rasta.
Korean Hunters or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Belushi. My uncle got me watching Growing Belushi, and that's pretty good.
yeah.
Uh, Jim Belushi's got that. He grows weed and has that show where he's got all that going on. It's pretty cool. He's got
so
the Blues Brothers weed.
this is also another really cool thing he does. I don't know if you remember those parachute guys we used to throw up in the air
Yeah,
and the parachute
yeah.
deploys. This is a
Get
real
out of
super
town.
fancy one. Yeah, this is a super fancy one, and it
That's
comes
cool,
with
man.
Alien Crash, which is Cali Ram hash plant and Alien Shooter.
I was the kid who played with the little green army men all the
Yeah,
time, man. For sure.
yeah,
That's
Oh, I
dope.
love these. This was so
yeah.
cool. I love this. And the last one is Flashbang, which is Black African Magic and Spent Brass.
Wow,
Oh wow.
wow.
Interesting. Like I like the interesting names and just like kind of like a whole different like and the packaging, the MRE, that's cool. Like I'm like
Right.
I can't wait to show my uncle that. My uncle that I live with here, uh he spent time in the service in Alaska in the 80s, training to fight the Ruskies, and so
Right.
salute, all that. Like when I get done with show that to him, he's gonna be like, oh my god, that's dope.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So, which one of these items resonates with you, my friend? What do you think?
Um I don't know. Like I don't know the
I like
seeds.
this.
I like
I like this
seeds.
WMD. I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the WMB. I'm down with that, man. We have found the weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll send you this weapons of mass destruction, brother. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. As your
Hey, man.
complimentary
Yeah,
gift from me and GI Genetics, we'll send that out to you. Make sure I get some
thank you, man.
contact information from you, or maybe we'll just link up one time or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
That's
he's
really
got
cool, man. I had like no idea about that. That's so dope. Like
he's
And
got
I will.
this has been a super awesome day, man. Like,
you're gonna have such a new appreciation for the plant too as a
Oh
grower.
yeah.
You've been on one side, but now you're in the growing side, and it truly is a different experience. And to see how this plant grows and expresses itself and stuff like you're up for a really amazing journey. So buckle up, you're gonna have a great ride. It's gonna be a fun one.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And now that you're gonna have some seeds, do you have any intentions of can you grow outdoors in Missouri or
Yeah, I actually yeah, we can yeah, you can grow here in Missouri. There's a you can get cultivator license and every like under the recreational laws, like yeah, I mean, I don't even think you have to, you can just grow, you can grow a certain
right.
amount
I think you
and
can grow
possess
up
a
to
certain
six
amount of
plants per
plants and
person.
Okay.
yeah.
So
I
it's
think.
it's getting into, I don't know what zone you're in, but I mean we're getting close to grow season.
May
So
20.
when? May 20th?
May 20th after spring
Okay.
equinox is the earliest you can go.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you
this
really
is
want to wait till the ground is like a consistent 50 or 60 degrees before you.
Okay. Okay.
we just it was like, I think it was like 80 degrees today. This was like the warmest day so far, like where I'm
Beautiful.
Yeah.
at.
It's a
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Southwest Missouri. I'm in like north, like 30, like 40 miles north of Springfield
Okay.
area in Missouri, kind of rural country area, and it was a super nice day today.
Yeah.
I was telling my friends, I can't wait to jump in the lake. I'm like, oh, I'm just like, I opened up the windows and the doors, turned off the air, kicked everything open, and was like, let it in.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
Well, guys, I think we have finished the serious portion of the podcast, which was the interview with Josh. And now we can go immediately proceed towards the slightly informed opinions of Dave, which now we can talk about whatever. So now it's an open forum.
Well,
So tell us a joke, Master Yoda. Not to put you on the spot, but I would
wow.
love to hear you tell a joke.
You'd love to hear me tell a joke.
I
Okay.
would. I bet it's going to be hilarious.
I like
Okay.
jokes.
How about what did the elephant say to the naked man?
I don't know. What did he say?
How do you breathe through that little thing?
Nice. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, that's one of my classic jokes. So I've been telling
That's pretty
that since I was a
funny.
little boy. So
That's pretty funny. I
yeah.
got one that I tell a lot too. It's a nurse goes into the doctor's office and says, "Nurse, our doctor, there's a man in the waiting room that thinks he's invisible." And the doctor says, "Tell him I can't see him right now."
That's good.
That's so
That's a good one.
stupid. Dad joke right there.
Well, yeah,
Dad jokes are great, man.
yeah.
You got one for us, Josh? It's your turn, man.
Oh man, oh my lord. I feel like I only know really terrible jokes that I should probably not say. Oh my gosh. Um,
Knock
uh,
knock.
Yeah, yeah. Just be aware this is going to be on
Banana.
the interweb, so don't be saying anything
Right.
that
I just need to get some. I need to get some dad jokes I can just rattle off because that's probably about as safe as I know. That or I mean that or I mean unless I'm quoting something from a stand up comedian that's
right.
pretty
Sure, yeah.
iconic or something. But yeah, I'm trying to think of a. I mean I don't know what it. I don't
I
know.
also like really fast puns. Terrible puns. I love puns.
Puns, yeah, I like when people are punny. Puns are good. I had a teacher in high school that said that always was like, Josh is gonna grow up and become a great stand up comedian or something like that one day. And I never yeah, I don't know, like around here there's not really much going on for anything like that. I kind of wish I could have gotten into that because I don't know. I feel like Chris Farley is my spirit animal, and yeah,
Right.
I dig stand up. That's why I kind of figured like this, the my first time being on a podcast, but I figured this would go pretty well, and that I wouldn't have too much a problem with it because I kind of have that character personality, and I pretty confident, pretty decent social, and talking, be able to kind of command a room, and or like not shrink whenever the attention's on me. So,
Right.
and this has been pretty chill. This has been pretty cool. This has been awesome. I'm like super glad that like I ended up getting in contact with you, and getting on
Me
here. This
too.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've done a great job, man. I mean, you have a great story to share.
Yeah,
So
for
sure.
sure. That's a very interesting story that not many people have heard, and people that need to hear it hopefully will find a way to find it, and maybe they'll be able to benefit from it.
Yeah.
And you can
There,
promote it too. If you have friends that are in similar situations, send them to the video.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
look, here's my story. Don't bother me. Watch the video first and then come ask questions later.
yeah, yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt, no
And
doubt.
then I mean, you might really want to think about trying to see if you can mentor someone through the process, because that really could become like a very valuable service to other
That's
people
interesting.
because it can be a real challenge to get through the all the red tape, and everyone's dealt a certain set of skills in life, and clearly you've got the skills to get through the process on your own because you've done it, and there's a lot of people that may not be able to do that, or their situation might be different. I don't know what pressures or stressors you had when you got out, as far as like housing and how are you going to put food in your belly and stuff like that, and any little bit kind of helps. So I think you could really be a good resource to a lot of people as a mentor. So
No doubt.
Yeah.
I
One
appreciate
thing
that.
you could look into is, and I've done this before, is volunteering right at the prison. You know what I mean? Almost all prisons have some kind of a volunteer program. They're understaffed. They love to have people come in and help out if they can. You know, I've done that, volunteered in a prison for
Yeah.
like a running free program where I went in and ran laps with the prisoners,
Right.
and we also got like places to donate shoes for that running shoes for them to wear, and then they all
Okay.
had running free T-shirts and stuff like that, which was really cool. And it
You
was
know,
my old boss that started the program. There wasn't even a program when he went there. He just got set up with a volunteer and said, "Hey, look, can we do this?" And they're like, "Okay."
yeah.
He made it
And
happen.
I mean, just imagine if you got that and you do that and you start working with the prison system, and then they say, hey, this Josh guy, he's really not a bad apple, and
But he
maybe
always smells like
maybe
weed.
he always smells like weed. He's not a bad apple. He smells like weed a lot,
Yeah,
but but
yeah.
maybe like you could maybe turn it into something that might actually be like a program that people could get in because you had a challenge with the system that you went through. That's a nonprofit organization, I'm sure. So I mean, if you could do that, like you would have a stream of people, and then as someone who was an inmate and has come and has made it to the outside, you are better positioned to know what the stresses, challenges, and struggles are that people have to go through to get it and to make it on the outside. And if you have that knowledge set, you could probably really repurpose it and turn it into something that could be so good for the community. And really, and partially like especially the prison community that is supposedly supposed to be leaving prison, but I always thought when you go to prison, they're supposed to try to like teach you how to re-enter society, and if they're not doing that, maybe you can be that stepping stone, and maybe that might help someone stay out of prison. Maybe it might help someone be able to stay with their family because they're going to be able to get a job and whatnot. So I would really think strongly about that because I think you're uniquely positioned to be able to do something like that. Um,
Um, no,
do you have?
I fully agree with you. No, and I've definitely literally had these thoughts. Like I've talked with something I kind of forgot to mention about kind of in my story and in my history. My criminal, like I really I count everything really as an adult. Like my criminal history and all that. But no, when I was a teenager, I kind of forgot. Like when I was a kid, I was kind of a hard headed, and I the first time I ever got in trouble was when I was like a teenager and stuff. And my mom sent me to the first time I ever like went away from home or like whatever. My mom put me in like this like teenage rehab place
Oh
when I was
no.
15. Yeah, for the first time I ever went anywhere was when I was 15, and then I went back when I was 16. So like kind of like my incarceration and my this kind of the stuff, like I went to a treatment program when I was 15. I went to a treatment program when I was 16. I Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, tell us about your family. What was it like? What was your home life like at that time?
At the time like during that period of time.
Yeah, when you were
Yeah.
going to when she put you into the juvenile system or whatever it was.
Well, let's see. So I was 15, so it would have been like 2008, 2007, 2008. I went in that place in 2008. So I was 15 going on 16. Uh, my parents had split up in 2005. So this was
Oh,
within a couple of years of my parents splitting up and
were
getting a
you having
divorce.
troubles? Were you having
Um,
troubles adjusting to that new?
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. That it
Sure, yeah,
sucked because there was a
normal.
lot.
Yeah, that's normal.
Uh, there was a lot going on. And then my mom had gotten in a new relationship with another man and had a child with another man. So I had a little brother, which my little brother is awesome. Like it wasn't anything, there was nothing against him, but it was like she could have this new life, and
Mhm.
I kind of felt like the reminder of the old life and all the crap, and all the shit before. And I feel like she just kind of wanted to just and I was making bad decisions, but it was I just feel like if I'd had a little bit more uh just real parenting, real guidance, real somebody who
Guidance.
wanted to do something besides yell at me and argue with me and
Yeah.
and everything, like it might have went different, but it was just like I was a shithead, punish me, and get tired of me, get rid of me. And it kind of felt, it's kind of how it felt, kind of how it went.
Well,
So
I'm not a parent, so I mean, I can't talk from experience, but I would imagine, I'm a pet owner, and I would imagine similar to that is, you know, just because you can have kids doesn't mean that you have the parenting skills, and that's a skill
Mm.
that gets developed over time. So like, when you have a baby, it's, probably like, okay, now what, and maybe you read some books or go to some classes or whatnot, during that process, and you kind of learn about it. But then once you have the baby, or the kids, then it's like, okay, what do I do from here? And your first kid, you kind of learn a lot about what it's like to be a parent, and then the second kid, you kind of you have a better idea of what's going to happen next.
And
oh
what
yeah,
you did wrong
So,
and what you
you
could do
know,
better, maybe,
yeah. So I
with the
mean,
first one. The first one's a trial run.
exactly,
my
exactly.
brother,
So every time
my brother gets away with everything.
yeah, exactly. So so I mean, it's
I
so
mean, he's a good
parenting
kid,
is
but
a skill that gets developed over time, just like just like anything else. So
yeah.
um,
Um, but on the I'm kind of like I guess what would be the word, kind of like philanthropy, kind of like using what I've been through to help others and stuff like that. And so now I've literally thought about that, man. I've thought about me and a friend of mine who went through that program. We went to the same program that I went through when I was like 15, 16. Her
right.
mom sent her
Okay.
there at one point. A whole bunch of us actually went through there. It was called C Star
Oh,
in
Okay.
Springfield, and it was like a kids rehab.
right.
Okay.
And so and when we were in there, they would have people come speak to us and stuff, and I remember that. And then, going through prison and meeting people in there, man, and just, seeing, going through these experiences and realizing that, hey, man, if some people just had like some real guidance, if somebody,
Yeah.
if there were, I feel like there should be more of that. And I feel like when people see other people succeeding and they've come from like where you've been, it's really helps you feel like it's possible. Like a lot of people sit up there and go, you can do it, but they've never been through it. But when you see one of your own make it, it's totally different, man. And I honestly really I would love to go back to the prisons that I went to or facilities I went to and go speak to those people and go, bro, I was where you're at, and my life isn't perfect, but I'm good, and I'm not in jail. I'm not going to prison, and I'm not in jail. I'm not in prison, and I'm not going. And I
Right.
have a
I can
normal
smoke
life
weed when
now.
I want to. I
I
Yeah.
have a
poop in
fairly
my own
normal,
toilet. I don't
yeah,
have
man.
to make wine in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I have running water. Um,
I have a fairly normal existence, and it's good. Life is all right. And it's possible to get to that point. It's possible to heal. It's possible to get out of prison and get away from the recidivism and get out of that cycle. For the people who want to, or eventually get to the point of just being tired of doing this, like whatever it is that eventually motivates you, you know. So I just, part of it for me was like a big part of it for me was like my dad was terminally ill, and I didn't want my dad to die while I was in prison, so I kept
right.
my ass home. Because I thought he was going to die while I was locked up, and then after that, it was like, all right, I'm here, and and I just got tired of that, and I don't know, just something
Good
changed in
for
my
you.
mind. I stopped whatever I was doing before. I stopped doing. I guess I don't know. Like I don't even really
You know,
understand like how I got like in all the trouble I did now, because I just I don't know, something changed, and whatever it was, whatever clicked, as thank God.
But it's all taking you to this point, and you have to be the master of your destiny and decide where you want to take it from here. And it sounds like now you've got opportunity. You've got this job, which is an opportunity, which is awesome. And you've got a company that hopefully you're going to be able to grow with. And and I still think, like, on a volunteer basis or a passion project or something, like I think you could probably turn that into something too. Um, you know,
I would like to
uh,
do that. I just don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how.
um,
I don't know how to get to that point.
if
But
you put
I think
that
that's a great idea, though.
if you put that out there in the universe, and you tell people, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do it, and I'm looking for help. Um, you'll be able to find some help. There's also what's the name of the organization? Um, there's an organization of business, of former, business owners that help um
Oh,
new
Score,
business people. Score,
Score,
yeah.
the mentorship
Um,
program. Yeah,
yeah, that might be Score might be an option for you. You know, to look into that
you
and
know,
make an appointment with someone,
I
as
tried
well
to.
as for you, Dave. Um, uh, so I mean, and those are people that have been, they're business people, and they know how to get through the process and navigate, and they can help guide you through the process of doing something like that. Also, ChatGPT, man, is an amazing resource. Like, if you don't know how to do something, and you can get free access to that.
I've
And if
learned to
you
play with
find,
that.
yeah, if you find that, if ChatGPT starts limiting you, then that means you're using it enough where you should probably be paying for it, and then it's $20 a month.
True.
Um,
Yeah, that's good
you know,
advice. Yeah.
but that can be a tremendous resource. So I would say if you could try to hook up with Score, um, and use ChatGPT as a tool, I think that would be a tremendous uh, help and start to getting this journey started. But if it's something that you're really motivated about, I think 100% you should do it.
You can get easy started with the Score mentor. I got a mentor. They wouldn't help me. I'll explain in a second, but you can go to
Right.
score.org and just sign up, and then they'll set up an appointment for somebody that's in your area. It's pretty cool. The reason they didn't help me was because I was asking for mentorship in my cannabis business, which
Right.
is federally illegal, and they can't use their
Federal funds.
resources for criminals like me, although they'll happily accept my tax dollars
Yeah. Yeah.
once I get going, you know?
Yeah,
So,
no doubt.
So yeah. So that's what I would recommend to you as a start. Um,
Nice. All right.
so.
hey, Josh, uh, what do you think so far of Master Yoda popping his cherry as a co-host on my program tonight? How's he doing? What do you think?
I think he's done well, man. Like he uh I feel like everything's been pretty cohesive and really flowed pretty well. And
Yep.
I think both of you have some of the questions and say and like I feel like it's really it's funny, like some of the stuff you've mentioned, some of the questions you've asked me. I'm like, bro, I've literally had these thoughts, like the thought of going and helping people and a mentor, and like doing that.
He's great
Like,
at that.
No,
thank you because I have thought of that. Like, I would love to do that. Like, I think you picked up on that. Like, that's dope. Like, um, it's just things that I like. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like where I live, there's not a lot of I don't know, man. It's like it's hard to find resources, and it's hard to find. There's
Yeah,
just not
small
people
town.
who there's not people who are thinking and doing anything like what I'm thinking and wanting to do. It
right.
seems like, or I don't know, you know. There are a lot of stuff I don't really know how to like. I guess I just don't know how to do or where to look for or like where to start.
We need
Right.
to follow up with you next week after you've spent some time on the job. Just a quick follow up.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
how you're
absolutely.
loving life, you know?
Yeah, I
Living
start
the
Monday.
dream.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I can't. I'm excited
yeah,
I
for you.
we can
know.
do
I
have a
wish.
next one.
I guess you wear scrubs out there, and like I'm not sure exactly where I'm starting, where I'm working, but I know when they originally, like I said earlier, when they originally hired me for propagation, and hey, I'm cool with that. I'd love to get into genetics, and
Yeah.
like I feel like that's a great place. Sounds great. Let's do that. So
Yeah, they'll probably have you wear scrubs. They may have you, sometimes they'll have people like take a shower before they come in and out because they're concerned about you, and not personally attacking you, but anyone coming into the facility is a vector, right? So if you
right,
come in and if you walked and you walked against a brush and maybe a mite or an aphid, is on your shirt, and you go into that grow, you can infest that grow, really, really, really quickly.
yeah,
So,
no doubt.
so
Another serious concern is that a lot of these people are home growers and they may have been around cannabis pollen and they may carry
right,
that in on their clothes and then you get cross pollination and that's undesirable as well.
right,
Yeah,
right.
Well,
So
I know part of like the rules is like if you work in Flora, I don't know if it is how for other facilities, but working in Flora, I'm not supposed to grow myself or walk into anyone else's grow. I can't. Apparently, I'm not even supposed to step foot in anyone else's grow. It's crazy.
Oh
so
wow,
But
huh?
that's IPM. Again, that's they don't want you to bring something in from someone else's garden.
yeah,
It's like sometimes people share clones, and if you're not careful, like if you might bring someone else's problems into your grow environment. Um, so the reason for that is not because they're like, hey man, we don't want you to we don't want to teach you how to grow weeds so you'll compete against us.
yeah, yeah,
But it's more like, no, we don't want you to bring in some virus, hop latent virus, or some
Bacteria,
other,
mold. Yeah,
mold or some spore or something into our grow that's gonna, cost us a crop.
yeah.
So
yeah. Well, that makes sense. Totally makes sense.
yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's a cash crop, and if it doesn't make it to harvest, it's a problem. So
I still
you
want
know,
those seeds.
yeah. So
But yeah, I'm looking forward to. I know they got some new. They got a couple new strains out there of Flora that I have like just tried for the first time or haven't even tried yet. And so I'm looking forward to looking at and learning how Missouri does it and some of the strains and honestly like I want to help improve on the system because honestly I don't really where I don't really get my weed like here in Missouri. Like I go to like Oklahoma or something like that, and that's where
Careful
I
what you're
like.
saying on the internet.
yeah,
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 um, like I don't know, just like weed in Missouri. Um, I'm not fully really impressed with a whole lot of it, um, and
It's
so
not that good.
that and the prices are crazy. So yeah,
right,
I
right,
want to help improve on the system and hopefully and I want to grow some I want to get my
right.
own company going and grow some real good some real some of the Ozarks can definitely be proud of.
Yeah, well, definitely, learn what you can, when you're there, you know, and they're teaching you stuff. Just remember, if there's any cotton in your ears, make sure you take that out and stick it in your mouth,
Yeah,
and just kind of, buckle down and do what they want according to their process, because
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
you might possibly be there long enough where there might be a change of head grower. And if there's a change of head grower, they might have a different growing style and they might have different requirements. So, and they're going to want people that are in line with their style.
yeah,
And hiring someone that's green, not an experienced grower, means that they can mold you into, the employee that they want, or the grower that they want. So it's an opportunity to learn a lot about a specific grow style. So um,
when I was at local cannabis company, the people that got promoted were the people that were the high performers. The
yeah,
people that
yeah,
were the most enthusiastic, that showed up whenever they needed somebody to be there, weekends or whatever,
right,
and that kind of thing. And people that would
right.
also ask a lot of questions. That was something they kind of looked for too. Is this person interested? Are they just showing up for work and doing their
yeah,
job, or
yeah,
do they want to understand how things work? That kind of,
yeah,
and seek out additional opportunities. Be like, hey, I've worked in this department for a couple months. I'm interested in what's going on over here. Could I maybe switch this up for,
yeah, yeah.
they might be receptive to that kind of stuff. And the more stuff you know and the more departments you work in, the more valuable you're
The
going to
more
be.
value you bring, yeah,
That's what I told them. I told them, man, I'm ready to be a student. I'm like, I want to be. I'm like, however, because they kind of, in my interview, they asked me what days off I wanted. They asked me where I wanted to work, what I wanted to do, honestly. And and I, I was like, I want to be wherever the line of success is, man. I'm like, I want to be. I'm for real about this. This is like, and John's known me for a long time and knows my history, and I feel like you know, I feel like, I'm kind of, you know, aligned with, some people who, have been there for a while and have experience and are going to help, will hopefully be able to help guide me, you know, and help
That's
set
always
me up
helpful.
for success. And I'm good at I'm very, very open to being taught and shown, and I have nothing but curiosity and uh, enthusiasm about this, and I definitely did my best to show that and communicate that. And throughout this whole process of me trying to, from January to now, trying to figure this out and get this all straightened out, I constantly stayed in contact with John and Debbie and HR and everybody that I spoke to along the way. Everyone heard from me constantly throughout the whole process. I kept updating them and I kept telling them and showing them persistence and enthusiasm and like I'm not gonna quit. This is where I'm gonna be.
Right.
I'm gonna see this through. This is going to come full circle, man. This has been something that I've been thinking about and planning on for a long time, man. Because I remember being 15 and smoking weed, being like, man, wouldn't this be cool if this was like our job, man?
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, it's like, holy crap, dude, this is possible. I just messed up my life for a little while, but if I can figure that out, I might be able to get in the door somewhere. And I finally am in the door, and I'm so excited. It's gonna
I
be
can
awesome,
tell.
man.
Yeah, I'm
You're
sure
gonna
you're
do
going to be a
great.
rock star, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right
I
on,
hope.
guys.
All right.
Go ahead, brother.
Let's say, you're trying to get over here in Missouri, man. I'm hoping that maybe we could, figure that out. I say come somewhere near here, man. That's what I say. And hopefully, hopefully we can figure that out. Anything I can do, if I can be helpful, I'd love to, keep checking in with you guys and keep,
Oh yeah, sure.
updating and,
For sure.
and
Yeah.
keep, like I'm trying to, like I said, I want to be in this industry and I want to be in this realm, in this circle, and I want to connect and network with anyone that I can and align myself with anybody that I can. And everybody, like, teamwork makes the dream work. I believe in that. So, um, hopefully we can get you over here in Missouri and
Yeah.
maybe
I'm thinking
we can, put some work in together or something,
I'm
or
thinking about doing a GoFundMe to help people help me escape the oppressive regime of Kansas and to move into a more marijuana friendly state and see if I can pull on the heartstrings of some people that might have some sympathy and want me to get out of this crazy place so I can grow my own medicine.
Right.
no doubt. I would say maybe come down here and come to some of the events. There's like they're
Yeah, I
opening up
need to do
all
that
these
more.
they're opening up all these like consumption lounges down here, and there's also a bunch of events where all these people come and set up booths and bring them weed that they're growing, and
Right.
you know,
I just got an epic idea. All right, Josh, you're gonna make arrangements for the the grow op that you're working to donate all their waste material over to Dave, and we're gonna use that to make a house out of hempcrete.
Hey, that would be epic. Wow, that would be cool.
You know, and it's gonna, that's fireproof, it's insulated, it's bug resistant, it's green. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Nice.
that's good.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It sounds like we're winding down a little bit. I
Yeah.
think this has been a good podcast. I think this is probably a good place to cut her off.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. Right on. I've really enjoyed this podcast. It's been very educational, informative. Thank you so much to our wonderful guest, Josh, who came on and articulated the process that he went through pretty well without getting too bent out of shape and screaming and yelling. Because I know it's frustrating dealing with the government. They are so slow and they do everything wrong, even by their own processes. It's frustrating, man. I know it.
Yeah,
And
now that I'm
also,
kind of out of it, like I'm glad I can finally kind of let the drama die down a little bit. I'm like I'm through it. I can get over it. I'm like I don't have to. I don't have to carry that energy and be toxic like that. I'm just like, man, they just got me going, man. It's just like it was so crazy. Like for weeks, it was just like moving, just constantly pushing it up the mountain, and just starting over every day. It felt like so. I wasn't sure this was going to end up where it ended up, but it worked out, man. And so
Sure.
I'm super thankful about that, man. Manifestation is real.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
So
also, I wanted to thank my buddy Master Yoda for being a co-host on this podcast. I knew that was going to work out well. He's a natural
Oh
at
yeah.
this, so hopefully he'll join me for more podcasts in the future.
I hope so. I hope so. Thank you very much, Dave, for the opportunity. And hey, Josh, how can people in internet land find you if they have any questions?
So I have a Facebook account. My name's Josh Blankenship. It's I don't know. I guess I could, if this goes on YouTube or on any
Yep.
platform, I could drop information. I also have my email is Joshua Joshua 1278524 @gmail.com. And yeah, so that'd be the two main ways to get a hold of me. Is I check the email constantly, and Facebook is that works.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool beans. Cool beans.
right on. How about you, Master Yoda? 207.
So you can find me on Instagram mainly as Master Yoda 207. I think I'm Master Yoda on Discord. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Hey, I'd like to connect with you on Discord, man. Possibly, like,
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
still trying to figure it out. Like, honestly, I'm not quite. I don't know.
I'm still new at Discord too, and
We're
like
all figuring it out.
I had messages and like they were DMs, and it took me like months to realize that like, oh, these are messages. Sorry for the late reply. But yeah.
That's great.
So
Yeah, right on. Okay,
and
well,
Dave,
thanks
how
so
can
much,
people
guys.
find you?
Oh, well,
Oh
geez, you
yeah.
can
Oh
find
yeah.
me on YouTube at MoHiTite. You can connect with me on Gmail at mohightight@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at 420 High Tights, or you can look me up on Facebook, David Huckins, or I've got a Facebook group there, High and Tight LLC. You can find me in any of those places, and I'd love for you to connect with me. And if you think you'd be a good podcast guest, I'd love to talk to you. Please join my High and Tight group. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps me a lot.
I'm gonna share this too, and I'm in the group too, and I'll try to blast this too. And Master
Right
Yoda,
on.
dude, it was really great to meet you, and I hope to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to meet you
I
too, man.
appreciate you guys both, man. This has been dope.
Right
All right.
on. Thanks so much, guys.
Guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.